Well, happy brunch. I'm sorry I'm late, boys and girls. Well, I am ready to blitz, blitz, blitz away. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is awesome to see you. I'm looking around and I've gotten myself comfortable, but I don't have the book of the month. Gosh darn it, I'm going to have to get back up and go find the book of the month. So hold on, just hold your horses. Be sure and say hi to everybody. Tell us what you're eating. Tell us what you're drinking. Tell us where you're coming from as we extend our brunch table to yours. This brunch table is starting in Portland, Oregon. As you can see, here it is. And we are extending it to the four corners of the earth. Please sit down and have brunch with us. Be sure and say hello to the person to your virtual left, to the person to your virtual right. Introduce yourself to us and tell us what you're having during this lovely brunch. I have not broken fast yet, other than with a cup of coffee. This is, of course, my Pete's Dickens, Pete's Major Dickens, one of my favorite cups, and I put some molasses, not molasses. Sometimes I use molasses. Who here has tried like a Louisiana coffee with its chicory and it's sweetened with molasses? You ever tried that? It's pretty good. I think it's a more nutritious way of having a cup of coffee, right? It's more going to be more nutrient dense, right? Yeah, give it a shot. Chicory with some warm whole milk. Add a little bit of molasses. That's a southern way of having hot coffee. That's like a soul food way of having. It's good. I tried it the other day. Actually, I wanted to try a soul food coffee, so I warmed some milk and put molasses in it. Put in a little bit of spice, a little cinnamon. You can put nutmeg. Yeah, I don't use sugar, and if you're going to use sugar, molasses are great because they're nutrient rich. And a lot of people would have blackstrap molasses every day in hot water for iron because it helps make hemoglobin blood. Yeah. So you put it in a little coffee with a cream or milk. Some people do a dollop of butter. I don't judge. I mean, it's that probably. I've never tried it with a dollop of butter, but I've heard of people doing that. So, well, you would take some warm milk, put a dollop of butter on the top. You could do a whipped butter if you like, uh, and molasses in the coffee. Pour the coffee, mix some molasses, and then pour some cream, a milk with a dollop of cream, clotted cream or butter, a little bit of butter on the top. Stir. Mm-hmm. Yep. Alas, the book has gone missing. The book has gone missing. I was actually reading the book. I was in bed reading the book, and now I cannot find the book. That happens all the time. Chuck and I are constantly having this problem. We lie in bed, we read the book, we put it aside, then we can't find it when the show comes on. Okay, found it. Yeah, see, I had made notes. I have notes that I'm taking. Um, it's a pretty heavy book, so I want to just give people who are part of our Book of the Month club. I just want to give you guys a trigger warning because it does deal with SA and predators and that sort of horrible thing. And how do we, as regular people, particularly children who are completely helpless, how do our brains process that? 3% of the general population has a personality disorder like psychopathy or malignant narcissism. And the parent of the author suffers as a malignant narcissist in from enlightenment to abuse. And she goes into extensive detail about how what that did to her, the mental toll and the physical toll it begins to have on her, just living in the same house with a psychopath, and what the psychopath does to family members. Because remember, a malignant narcissist doesn't think that anyone is equal to them, and so consequently, Prince Andrew would fall into this category, right? So consequently, they have no problem killing somebody, right? Because they have no problem killing somebody because you're not a human in the technical sense of the word, right? Isn't that what the Nazis said when they were killing their victims? Anybody that wasn't German, right? It wasn't just Jewish people, gypsies, Polish people, right? The French, anybody that isn't us, the other, everybody. Talk about having a chip on your shoulder, and the malignant narcissism of a leader can take hold of a whole country, which is what happened to Germany during the war. You had a malignant narcissist, Adolf Hitler, who is on, and you'll often see a comorbidity with malignant narcissists as well, where they will have a drinking problem or a drug problem in order to prop up their delusion. That's what we saw with Hitler. He had evidently a drug problem. He had a doctor that was giving him drugs. So in the case of From Abuse to Enlightenment, an innocent child is having to process this. Now, one of the ways that one of the things that children do is they will take it personally. My parents got a divorce because I was a bad child. If I had been a better child, it chips away at your self-esteem if your parents get a divorce. The child because children's nature is to be egocentric. They haven't yet evolved or matured enough to understand that the whole entire world doesn't revolve around them. And so one theory about narcissism and malignant narcissists is that they remained trapped as 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds. And we have to be very, very careful that we don't attract religion created by malignant narcissists for the victim. And we see this in the New Age movement, where a lot of victims are being told, oh no, you were abused because in a previous incarnation you were a bad pirate, or you chose this, which is it's the worst possible thing you can say to somebody after they've been a victim of violent crime, right? Is to tell them that basically they were asking for it, right? So not surprisingly, those communities that spout this malignant narcissistic abuse under the umbrella of being a religion, right? Oh, it's my religious beliefs. It says it in the Course of Miracles. I have a huge problem. I think the Course of Miracles is toxic. If it's blaming the victims, it's toxic. I'm sorry, I just do. So all of that you have to grapple with as an adult survivor of this type of abuse, right? Does that make sense? And she talks about it quite a bit. And so I think for me, as a Nichiren Daishonin Buddhist, I'm loosely associated with that, and also just somebody who studied the scientific method. And I think that human beings, we are wired to try and find answers for why terrible things happen to us. And I think we have a hard time with objective reality. It's our nature to want to write a story or to romanticize, right? But there are things, if you look at Martha Strout, if you're the psychopath next door, right? It has nothing to do with you. It is an anomaly that 3% of the population will have this kind of psychiatric condition. And objective reality is that the truth is you aren't You are nothing but an extra in his, her, their story, right? You're just an extra. Don't think you're the lead in this story when it comes to the malignant narcissist. Rest assured, you were nothing but an extra in their mind. And so please don't take it personally that they are a jerk, because they would be a jerk whether or not you were around or not. You had nothing to do with the fact that they were a jerk. You know, they were a jerk because they're a jerk, or they had a personality disorder that developed a long time ago that had nothing to do with you. We talked about the importance in anthropology and just in the natural order. If we're looking at primitive societies that are going to survive in the middle of the sub-Sahara desert, and you've got an oasis and you've got limited food supply, who is the number one priority if you want the tribes to survive? And we said, first dibs is the mother. So the first person to be fed, the first person to receive all respect, the first person to get nutrition, the first person we bow to is the mother. All comes from the mother, all returns to Mother Gaia, all comes from the mother and returns to the mother. And we have also talked about the prophecy of Oshun, the vengeance of Oshun, and Oshun rules the blood. You cannot escape the prophecy. You can only accept the natural order. You cannot escape the prophecy. You can only accept the natural order and bow to the natural order. Prince Andrew under investigation now for a missing persons case. Took place in Balmoral. There were rumors of hunting parties. Hunting parties. What's a hunting party?
On the day of his birthday, former Prince Andrew was arrested by British police. These extraordinary events began at about 8 a.m. local time. That's when unmarked police vehicles arrived at the Sandringham estate where Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was staying at a property known as Wood Farm. Now, authorities took him into custody on suspicion of misconduct while in public office, and then police officers commenced a search of the property. His former residence in Windsor was also subject to a police search. Video shows police behind the gates at Royal Lodge. This is where Mountbatten Windsor lived for nearly 20 years until he was kicked out earlier this month by King Charles amid this growing scandal. What comes of these two property searches could become part of a wider investigation. Police have shared very few details, but what we do know is that the arrest of the senior royal comes after the assessment of a report into potential abuse of power while Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was serving as a trade envoy for the UK between 2001 to 2011. The allegation is that during that time, he passed confidential government information on to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Mountbatten Windsor has long denied any wrongdoing. He has strenuously defended his innocence, and he has made no statement on these most recent allegations.
Okay, so what do we have happening here? What do you guys think is going on? Right? We got a problem, Houston. What is the prophecy? The prophecy, if we talk about the prophecy, we've got a problem energetically. So let's just think about it like a Shinto priest, all right? We're going into being a Shinto priest right now. Let's move away from the Yoruba, which is the most ancient religion I know of. It's at least 8,000 years old. This is what we come from, sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria. This is our roots, right? They say trouble's coming, right? The elders are saying trouble is coming, trouble coming, child, right? There's been warnings for the last couple of years. What are those warnings? If you made money exploiting children, AKA the film industry. What was wrong with the film industry? What was the film industry getting away with? How much got suppressed? right? How much got suppressed? And what were the consequences of that? Investigations, people going to prison, films that were being made that could have, that became popular. Do you think the natural order is happy with Hollywood? The cumulative problems of Hollywood. Is there a natural order? And if there's a natural order, what happens when you violate that natural order? Is your business stable? Is your company stable? What do all these people have in common? What do they all have in common? We're seeing a pattern forming, right? We're seeing a pattern forming. What's the pattern? It goes back to the Yoruba tradition, right? This Yoruba tradition that there will be consequences. It boils out, and then you have to clear it out, clean it, or Oshun will leave the earth. They don't want Oshun to leave the earth. They don't want the natural order to change. They want us to prioritize that the mother comes first. If she doesn't eat, there isn't going to be another generation. And what happens to the motherless child? What happens to the mental health of the motherless child? This is the other thing we have to talk about, because we also see that there is a genetic component, but there's also an environmental component. We have to acknowledge that. Donald Trump was a motherless child. He loses his mother when he's 2-3 years old, and he's left at the mercy of a psychopath. The breaking of the bond between mother and child. So if you go back to what the original concept is, that in the oasis, the mother comes first, then you understand that this is a serious violation, that nothing should interfere. You should not prevent the mother from doing what she needs to do in order to be a really good mother, right? So when you interfere with that, abusive behavior, policies that harm mothers, there are consequences for that, right? There are consequences when you violate the mother. So going back to what the Shinto have said, Chinese medical theory, the prophecy, going back to the prophecy, this is the year of the fire horse. You cannot stop this energy. This is what the Chinese medical practitioners are saying. The shamans in that tradition, they're saying you can't stop the fire horse. It must complete its mission over the earth. What is its function? Well, if you're a good person, it's going to bring good fortune to you, right? Because it burns, it's passionate, it plows forward. The only problem is it's riding the energy right now, energetically, of the divine feminine, who seeks justice absolute, who we see in the tarot cards as the Queen of Wands. Is Oshun happy with us right now? Is she happy with men's behavior right now? The world is changing. The world is changing. And a lot of those changes are happening because there are things happening in the energetic world, in the spiritual world, that we don't entirely understand. And that is the time that Oshun rides the fire horse, right? So we have two prophecies happening at the same exact time. We have the prophecy that Oshun is coming with fire to cleanse and purify, or if this process doesn't happen, she will leave the earth. We see a warning when the bees recede. When you see the bees receding, When you see that you are having to deal with a crisis with your pollinators, this is the warning of Oshun. It's strike number 1. I will pull back my bees. This is Oshun telling you, you better get your crap together. What's happening to the honeybees? What's happening with domesticated bees? Overspraying, right? Mites, weakened immune systems, stress. It's not sustainable for Oshun's energy. She can't live like this. She's highly sensitive. She needs peace. And she is the divine mother of the two-leggeds. She needs a safe place to raise her babies, and you are not supplying it. Does that make sense? So we're in trouble, child, right? The bees will begin to recede and the waters. She starts to stir up the waters. So now we have a problem with the waters, right? So now we have a problem with drought, right? What's going on with drought? Again, strike number 2. First, she started pulling the bees back. Then what's the other omen, the prophecy? What does it say? She'll start to pull the water back. She starts pulling her sweet water back. What do we liken this to? What would you compare it to? If you lose your pollinators and you start to have drought and your food supply is questionable, what's going to happen to humanity? Discuss it. Could it be that those old men and women down in Nigeria that have been studying this stuff and looking at the shells and the bones for 8,000 years, do you think that maybe they might know something we don't? What are the warnings? So we have strike number 1, we have strike number 2. Loss of the bees, loss of water. She's taking her babies home, right? So this world is not sustainable for her. She doesn't want to be abused. She doesn't want her children abused. And so she has decided to leave the earth. That is what they're saying. And so what can we do in order to encourage her? Like, get her to come back. Like, come on back. We apologize. Clean up the sweet water, right? Start becoming an environmentalist. You might not suffer a horrible death if she sees you making an effort, right? She needs you to clean up the sweet water. She needs you to start doing that ASAP and start caring about bees and animals. Stop thinking of others as lesser than yourself for whatever reason. Oh, those damn Republicans. Oh, those damn men, those damn women, those damn whatevers, right? All of that way of thinking is displeasing to Oshun because it is this mentality of the other, right? Martin Buber talks about that. Check out Martin Buber. I and thou. Yes. Hannah Arendt. Right? Banality of evil. Eichmann on trial, right? Eichmann on trial. They can't. When you dehumanize someone to the point where you begin to see them as a cockroach, it's very easy to stomp on them. That's a malignant narcissist. And they get produced in mass when a mother's healthy relationship with her children has been disrupted, either through mental illness or abuse, poverty, policies by the state that do not encourage or nurture the mother. And what's the long-term consequences? The long-term consequences for humanity is extinction. So then we have to ask ourselves, what is the future of these people? You know, what's going to happen to these people, right? The royal family in general is in crisis, right? So what's caused the royal family to be in crisis? Malignant narcissism, right? Malignant narcissism, mommy issues, daddy issues. But more than that, the concept of a royal family is the concept that we are superior to you. You are beneath us. You are not as human as we are. Some animals are more equals than others. The other is a cockroach. And that's the problem with it. You are not an equal to them. They will put on a facade when the cameras are there and be polite, but privately they drink, right? Because malignant narcissists, there's a lot of comorbidity. Over 50% of malignant narcissists suffer from a drug or alcohol problem. The statistics are high comorbidity. Very few malignant narcissists don't have an alcohol or drug problem. We certainly saw drug problems with other malignant narcissists historically, right? If we just look at the history of malignant narcissism. And the existential crisis, what happens to the world when the world gets wind to the fact, well, wait a minute, none of this crap is real. You're just a malignant narcissist. And then we wind up in an existential crisis where we start to think, well, who can we trust? Because we've been played by the narcissist into maybe giving them power or money or something else. We see this in religion a lot, right? Some people are just holier than others. Some people are just better than others, right? Some animals are more equal than others. An example would be Israel. The ultra-Orthodox want to send your kids to go die for them. They will pray at home. They will pray for you because some animals are more equal than others, and some Jewish people are more superior than other Jewish people. In their opinion, in their mind, they are superior. And so we often see malignant narcissists will embrace religion. Well, God has appointed me this position, and I will send you out to die for God and country. But I am higher than you spiritually. And so my purpose in all of this is to stay at home praying, and then your children will go out and die. Your children will go and do the fighting and dying because, gosh darn it, I'm just so damn special. So that would be another example of malignant narcissist. Another example of this same phenomenon, you could argue, is the relationship between Ayatollah Khomeini, Mujtaba Khomeini, his son, and these proxy armies. You go die for Iran. You go die for Iran. You go die for Iran. You go to Lebanon and you go die for Iran. So what they were doing because Khomeini wasn't going to send his people to go die. They had soldiers for hire. So Hezbollah is soldiers for hire. So they hired people that were not them, not their crowd, not their family. They hired somebody else. They brainwashed somebody else's kid to go die in Lebanon, right? Kill the Christians in Lebanon, drive the Christians from Lebanon, drive the Coptic Christians out of Egypt. The Coptic Christians have been driven from Egypt by these, and who's paying for it? Iran, right? But they are the true holy ones that God touches them every day. And so they are above the law. And so because they are malignant narcissists, everyone else should die for them. And they're not going to go and do crap. This was also why Iran was not prepared for war with the United States. They weren't prepared for war with the United States because they had put all of their money into proxy armies. They put their money into Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah and Hamas, but they themselves weren't going to do any fighting. You go fight. You go do it. You go, you big bad boy. You go do that. And then people would get blown up and they would say, well, we're not at war. We haven't been at war for a long time because we're paying you to go die for us, right? That is classic malignant narcissism, right? Doesn't matter whether it's this country, that country, or whatever. 3% of the population is going to have a personality disorder, right? So all of that goes back to the time of Oshun and this idea that we're dealing with right now, where Oshun has really had enough. And what are the consequences of that? If you're just looking at it from the perspective of what the prophecy is, everything has built up to a moment or a situation that is incredibly volatile. It's a very volatile situation. I think we would all agree. Yes? What does she want? This energy, what does it want? It wants to survive, and it wants its children to survive on the earth, drinking clean, fresh drinking water and fresh vegetables, right? She wants the two-leggeds to survive and the four-leggeds, those that are dependent on the sweet water, right? That's her dominion. That's her domain. Does she enjoy the fact that she has to go and clean the herd periodically? This happens, I guess, every 100 years or so. She has to come in and do this. It's just part of the natural order. I think that she is part of the natural cycle, just as we see in Shintoism and Chinese medical theory. We see too amongst the Yoruba. This is a natural cycle. It is a time of purification. It is a somber time, and it is an opportunity for all of us to pray deeply for humility, to move away from our own narcissism, to remain humble, to follow in the good path, to treat mothers with the utmost respect. It's the hardest job in the world, to give comfort where we can, to establish healthy boundaries because she teaches discernment, to clean the water, to be more of an environmentalist, apologize to our family and friends if we've harmed them, make amends and do right, take care of our health, particularly issues or actions that have to do with the blood, coronary artery disease, anemia, chronic disease. Walk humbly on the earth and do your best. And get back to the golden rule, the golden path. And that is the function of Oshun at this time. And this energy passes the earth until 2027, until mid 2027. Yeah. All right. So we have a fire horse this year, and it goes until February, I think, 17th. So be mindful of that. So fire horse evolves February 2027 into which sign? I used to know this. It's oh yeah, Fire Horse will leaves the earth February 5th. So her cleansing, she's very intense right now. This work that Oshun is doing spiritually will go, it cast until February 5th, 2027. Her birthday is in September. If you want to give offerings to her, go to the Sweetwater, the streams, and apologize, clean up some, if you see any garbage around, clean it up. In terms of what she likes to receive, she likes 5 copper pennies, 5 pumpkins, or 5 oranges. Her number is 5, which is associated numerologically with quick and passion and excitement and travel. And we certainly see that energetically around her right now. The fire goat and ram is starting February 6th. So we're going to see a lot of stubborn resistance, probably around the rebuild of Gaza. I would assume everybody's going to have their opinion. No, it has to be done this way, that way. That goat energy, that ram energy can be very stubborn. And the ram is also associated with Aries, which is also fire. And that tells me that we could be seeing more, more aggressive action beyond February of next year. You know, you got to be careful in a goat year, because you don't want to start something you could be stuck in and not be able to get out of. That's the danger there. But I do think some of this pressure will start to drop quite a bit by February of next year. Yeah. All right. So getting back to what I was saying. So if all of, healing that and working with that, and if you've ever been the victim of a narcissistic abuse, 3% of the population, so we all have met somebody, 1 in 23 people has a personality disorder. Check out, I'm very excited about this book. We'll have her in the studio, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And you can see that lovely lotus. The lotus is one of the most beautiful flowers in the world. And remember, it blooms in the mud and the dirt and the yuck. From that, it rises. So let's all remember our worth, those of us who have been victims of this type of crazy. And check out, if you're okay and you're not going to be triggered, we don't want to trigger anyone, check out Diana Reimer, From Abuse to Enlightenment, Transforming My Childhood Trauma Using Spiritual Principles. And I got to warn you, there are parts of this book you might want to skip ahead, because it is explicit about the abuse. And quite frankly, I found it extremely traumatizing, re-traumatizing for me, and I had to flip ahead. And that's okay. I really want to just get into how she unraveled her mind after this horrific abuse and healed herself. Yeah. Well, if we didn't have a mother, or the mother bond was disrupted in ourselves, then we have to cultivate it within ourselves through meditation, prayer, and cultivating a relationship with the divine feminine on earth, Gaia, aligning with those things that nurture the mother in ourselves, in others, pursue mentors we respect, and policies that support women and mothers. These things can dramatically reduce the number of people with personality disorders we're producing. The problem when they started taking away a woman's right to choose is that we now have larger numbers than ever of children being born into severe poverty with disabilities, no money, mothers that can't care for them. And many people have predicted we will be seeing an increase in crime as those people grow up without resources. We see crime increase. Similarly, when women had a right to choose education and resources, we saw, for example, abortion goes down because women become educated about their own bodies. But we start to see crime diminish. And this is what the Yoruba would say is the natural order. Well, of course, because you started taking care of women, you moved in a positive direction. They were able to financially take care of them and raise their kids and control their families. So you had less poverty, and less mental illness, which would be aligned with what the Yoruba are saying. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the empath prayer. We're going to start with a general reading for everybody, just a general quick message for the group. So you will be receiving your personal message for the week. And if you would like to receive a healing from me today and from the group, we can all pray for you. You can let us know who you want us to pray for. We can pray for you or somebody that you're concerned about, a loved one. We can include them in our prayers as we bring in the empath prayer. Oh, it's been a long week, you guys. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but my goodness, the weather has been absolutely insane. Again, more of that, the water, the churning of the waters. And we also see the anger of Olokun, which is an aspect of Yamaya, who's the goddess of the sea. She too is being stirred up right now. And so we're concerned about tornadoes and monsoons and typhoons, right? Typhoons is another thing we're concerned about, because all this hot energy, this fire energy over the earth right now. And the first mother of all life is Yamaya, comes from the ocean. And Yamaya gives birth to Oshun, who then, when it separates the sweet waters from the salt waters, then you have the land animals emerging from the sea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it aligns beautifully, the Yoruba teachings, with evolutionary theory. And that's pretty exciting. Okay, let's bring in the empath prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say Amen. And for those people who are requesting healings today, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again as a community, we say Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. All right, let's give you a quick message from Spirit. And this applies to you at the time you receive the message. We're going to go ahead and give you a reading. And if what doesn't apply to you, you can simply pass on to the next person. We, like Carl Jung, we believe in the collective consciousness, and what you're supposed to receive, you will receive, and what you're not supposed to receive, you will not receive. So enjoy your reading. What does Spirit need you to know at this time? Your main message for this week is to understand that things change. It is very difficult for people sometimes to accept the fact that things change. There is this concept called allostasis, and it's the ability to go back to balance after an emotional trauma. Just like we have homeostasis, in psychological terms, we have allostasis. And what they're talking about is the fact that mental health is the ability to understand that nothing remains the same. And that can be very, very disruptive and disturbing. You go back to the hometown you grew up in, Seattle, Washington, a town that nobody wanted to live in, right? Whoever leaves last, turn the lights out when you leave Seattle, right? No economy, nothing really going on. Puget Sound. It was a dead town, right? So, but then things changed. Microsoft, Starbucks, Boeing, right? And then all of a sudden, this little tiny town I grew up in, it was kind of a depressing nowhere town. Everybody drank coffee and was depressed because it rained all the time, right? It changed. And the psychological trauma for me was very difficult because I have to accept that the world I want to go back to is gone. I can try and recreate it, but allostasis, you know, stoicism teaches us that things change and to accept, well, I'm not 18 anymore. It is to accept things as they are and figure it out. And the base of the matter right now is death. Things have changed. They are no longer what they are. And we also have the ability to walk away and let everything go that was of the past and move on. This ability to accept that things are no longer what they were and that the past is not coming back, and that it is a waste of the life you are living right now to live in the past, a past that never was. Yeah, you're over romanticizing it, and it's gone and it's never coming back. That city you lived in is gone. It's never coming back. Things change, like the stream the Buddha sat and watched. It is ever changing, and you're never sitting at the same stream. And the same thing is true for a city. People come and go, and they shape and change the direction, the energy, the color of a city. They build a city, they take down a city. Detroit today is not the same Detroit from 1965, right? It just isn't, right? So this accepting that the way I was doing things in the past is ever flux, life is ever changing, and I accept it and I can adapt. I can accept reality of the change, and I can adapt and return back to center, allostasis. Can you do this? Because the economy has changed. Your town has changed. You've changed. You're not 18 anymore, maybe. I don't think most of the people watching this are usually over 18. There's also a message here that you should watch your finances and go into a bit more frugality until all this crazy, it will pass. We're having a lot of supply chain issues with the war, but also with the tariffs that are going on. So everything is a third more expensive. Everything is a third more expensive, right? So first house is Four of Pentacles, which is frugality and watching your coin. It's also the Buddha card. So it's about going in and looking at the Buddha from within or examining the self. I'm seeing many of you traveling. I'm seeing a lot of travel, and I'm seeing some of you seriously considering, like, I got to get out of Dodge. I can't stay in this country. Guatemala, you only need to declare $1,200 a month. I'm going to take my retirement to I'm moving to Guatemala City. Whimsy loved it. All right, I could definitely live in Guatemala City. I loved it. I just thought it was great. Crossing card is the Knight of Wands, which could indicate many of you are going to be doing some traveling, and many of you could even be leaving the United States. We have here again in the fourth house, looking over the rainbow. There it is, looking to distant lands. Your wish has been granted. Many of you are going to be able to do the traveling you want to do. Many of you are going to be able to live across the waters or leave or travel for long periods. I see scholarship and academics and a desire for more knowledge and information coming to many of you, either pursuing higher education or greater knowledge. I see many of you as environmentalists and activists who will go on to fight the good fight and are continuing to fight the good fight to protect the earth, protect Gaia. And in your future, look, we have said, and I love you guys, and I'm there for you. A house divided cannot stand, and Oshun is coming. She is here. She's coming to a town near you. And we are going to do everything we can to psychologically prepare people. But for every action, there's a reaction of equal or greater force. And we are at war. China is helping Iran. Russia is helping Iran. We're helping Ukraine. right? So we are in World War III. If we hadn't done this now, what would it have been like a year from now? It would have been a lot worse. So many people felt we're going to be preemptive. We're going to take this regime out before they become even more dangerous. But the near future is the tower. So I'm concerned. I've talked about domestic violence and terrorism potentially against U.S. Bases and U.S. properties. I'm very concerned about this, possibly even overseas. So just be aware of that. This tension is this that I keep seeing of this fire horse and Oshun and this reaction. People don't want to be going down, right? They like abusing women. They like forcing women into burqas, right? Because Yemen is the Houthi of Yemen are going down. The Somali pirates are no longer going to be funded, right? So a lot of the Kurds are getting rearmed, right? So a lot is going on, but your fourth house is overseas, but you've got this tower card. So I'm seeing an escalation, unfortunately. Where you're at right now, everything is about, look, honey, now is the time to be not a narcissist, but self-absorbed. Your guides are telling you need to be self-absorbed right now. And your number one priority has to be your health and your well-being, because your seventh house is strength. So improving your health, getting out there and exercising, doing your mantras, doing your meditation, taking a break from social media, and just take care of your health. Everything that's going on out there, if you are not directly involved in whatever that is, you just hunker down and plant flowers. And thank you, Oshun, for the sweet water. Thank you for the delicious sweet water, Oshun. We acknowledge you. We thank you. The spirit that governs land animals, we appreciate you. We appreciate the sweet water. We dedicate we're going to start donating to charities that protect clean water, and we're going to take care of our health, and we're going to drink clean water, and we're going to be the change we want to see in the world, because fifth house was the defender of the land. And you can see here in the art piece, by the way, she was Jamaican, Pamela Coleman Smith, and understood the Orisha, but here we have the protector of the sweet waters, which is, of course, governed by Oshun, and the wands, which is also governed by Oshun, which is wood and fire. The house of opposition for you ends. Here's the thing with narcissists. They love to play. They love to play games. They love to manipulate. They love to do all that stuff. But what happens to a malignant narcissist when you're no longer around? They have no one to play with, right? So don't go granite. Go gray wall. We say go gray wall. Don't give any reaction. Don't feed the narcissist. Don't connect with the narcissist. Don't have contact with the narcissist. Your house of opposition is Knight of Pentacles, which is to go no contact. Your hope and fear at this time is the Queen of Wands, which is the goddess Oshun. She rides the fire horse right now. She is also the Queen of the Witches, which is why the cat is sitting there. Oshun governs the house of witchcraft. She seeks justice absolute, and her flower is the sunflower. Her favorite color is orange and yellow, and she likes pumpkins and oranges, and her number is 5. She is what the world hopes for, and she is what the world fears. And she stands in the 9th house. Damn people, I'm so glad you're good people. Because these cards, I would not want to be, I would not be on the wrong side of this, energetically. And then the final outcome for you is peace in the, be the change you want to be in the world, be a great mediator, stay true to your values, stay humble upon the earth, Don't be arrogant spiritually. Just be humble. Eat your healthy vegetables. Pray often for the earth, volunteer, and humbly just be the change you want to be in the world, because the final outcome is the Knight of Cups who has the wedding chalice. And again, you see the imagery of the sweet waters that Oshun is giving us. Offering that sweet water, protector of the sweet water. You know, you don't have to be, just tend the sweet waters. Open up and daylight some streams. This is Gaia's circulatory system. It carries nutrition to allow the plants to live. She needs you to open those arteries, open those veins. Oshun is saying, daylight some of these streams. These plants I need to water here. Help me here. Clear the way. Destroy these dams. Will you put a dam up? I'm the mother. You're blocking the mother from getting to her babies. Will you put destroy the dam? I need to get to my babies, right? So all of those are issues with territory and Oshun. You're not letting me get to my babies. Like like don't go to war with the mother over the issues of their health. Whatever health challenges you have the ability to improve your health dramatically with healthy choices. If you're concerned about your health, you have the Ace of Swords standing with strength. That's a 1-year period you can turn yourself around. Your house of opposition at this time, those who have loved you and lost you are just confused. They don't know how they wound up here, because maybe they don't have the spiritual education that you have to understand how you wound up in the dirt on your own with your ass in the wind. Sayonara. Bye. Like this sense that your house of opposition is over and they stand baffled and confused. What? I thought that you were the loser and I was the winner. Now you're the winner and what happened? It's kind of like the prophecies in the Bible, right? Like the meek shall inherit the earth kind of a thing. Over the issue of concerns regarding Oshun, they say her power will escalate over the months of August. I'm very sorry. She understands your concerns, but she has work to do. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys feel afraid for yourselves? Do you feel like, okay, maybe I screwed up? Maybe I did something naughty, right? Maybe I was a little cruel to my children, or, how did I violate the natural order? How did I personally violate the natural order? Yeah. So the final outcome is the Queen of Pentacles. She comes to remind us to be about our business, child. So apologize, make amends for any mistakes you have made, be on the straight and narrow, understand your goodness, be humble, and walk the path of a spiritual path. Treat the earth with kindness and be humble. And you should be okay with Oshun. You probably, come on, man. Look at this. I mean, how else can you interpret this? This is August when the sun is high. Look at this. This is near future. We're in August. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. Everything changes. The message for you, though, in all of this crazy is that things are changing, and your ability to adapt to that, you cannot lean on the past. You have to build something new, walk away from the past and go into the future. That is your reading. I hope it gave you some clarity today. I think it's a vital message for all of us, and I was happy to be the one to help you with that. And I hope it gave you some guidance. Thank you. Wow. I don't know what to say. I mean, wow. Gosh darn, people. I just, oh, Joel, what do you think of the prophecy? Oh my God, we're so in trouble. Yeah. I don't know. You know, her birthday's September. Is she going to go out with a big bang? Happy birthday to me. What is it, September 7th, September 8th? Boom, boom. You know, like, happy birthday to me. I think I'm going to blow up Kabul. Goodbye, you misogynist creeps. I'm going to blow up your whole government. Whee! Happy birthday to me. You know, like, with this kind of energy and the way that she's moving and she's taking people out, like she, you know, taking out Andrew and then the criminal investigation into missing persons. And she's doing it like a surgeon too, because a lot of people were upset, like, why isn't Oshun working faster? Why isn't she, you know? And I trust that this energy, this consciousness that's over the earth right now, knows what she's doing, right? She consciously, that the consciousness that we're talking about, it's surgical. It's a surgical. It has an energy of a surgeon, and you look at this and you can't help but become a true believer. Like, maybe I need to go to Nigeria and talk to go and visit the Yoruba people and say, I'm an anthropologist. We need to talk because you've been knocking it out of the ballpark with this prophecy, and people are scared. People are scared. They don't know what's coming, right? So, what do you think? What's happening? That's ultimately, don't violate the natural order. I think that is probably, that mm, fire. Remember, look at that. Whoa. Jeez Louise. Oh my God. I didn't see that. This is Moscow? Holy crap. They really are going to march on Moscow. My God, I had no idea. This is what Joel was telling us, that Moscow's going down. Oh my God. Oh my God. This has been going on since June, these hits. Whoa. Unbelievable. I don't know, man. I don't know what. Um, can it be reversed? No, I don't think so. I think that Well, that's definitely what people are asking, right? Is can this be reversed? Oh, geez, man. I don't think so, you guys. I don't. Because if you violate the natural order, look, if you're just a regular person who's screwing up, and you're in the garden and you're just planting and you're trying to help Oshun and you're keeping the water clean and you're doing all of that you're supposed to be doing, then I don't think you have to fear being taken out by all of this change. But it goes back to the reading about aliostasis that everything you knew is going to be upended. Everything you knew is going to be upended. And we're looking at a new way of doing things. And a lot of malignant narcissists have to leave the earth. They can't stick around. I think, though, that it can't be good for the Republicans, because they have lost they've lost their people, right? So they've lost 2 Senate seats because Mitch McConnell has gone missing, but Lindsey Graham has gone missing as well. And so dang, man, she's taken everybody out. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's left. I've received emails from some of you saying that you hope Oshun keeps going. When she took out Andrew, at the beginning, right? The day that the fire horse came in was the day they took out Andrew. Yeah, they said falling. They use the term falling a lot also. The prophecy talks about an actual fall. And what's crazy about the prophecy of the falling of the tyrants is that they're literally falling. That's the other thing that's really bizarro about this whole thing. It's like they will fall, and it's they're actually physically falling. Yeah, just crazy. Did you guys see that? Yeah, he tripped and fell. Mm-hmm. Wow, crazy. These pictures are just insane. Wow. Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, they're literally falling. Mm-hmm. I had a picture of it. Oh, yeah. But this was, yeah. So, well, Mitch McConnell, yeah, he started falling, right? And then others started tripping and falling. So remember, she governs the blood. Oshun governs the blood. Issues of the blood. She can change your blood pressure, right? Hypertension, aneurysms, heart attacks, stasis of the blood that leads to edema. Isn't that fun? Okay, we got the order. Let's blitz, blitz, blitz away, people. Let's blitz, blitz, blitz away. We're gonna go. We do have a floor director. Joel Tilson, the floor director, is here, and he will be happily posting people's questions. Let's go ahead and let's blitz, blitz, blitz away. Thank you all for being here. All right, Joel writes tactical A-10 Waterhog aircraft deployed in the Middle East for Iranian conflict. No surprise there. We're seeing things heating up in August, and that's basically what the cards are saying. August recess for Congress until Labor Day. Great, then they don't have to answer questions about what's going down in August. Mm-hmm. Wild berries, yes. Wild berries, the Amazon of Russia is going down because of Ukrainian drones. No surprise there as well. We are seeing the fall of Putin. Putin's inner circle being assassinated by Ukrainian spies and Russian terrorists again. Part of this energy we've been talking about. Will the Hamas deal be approved by Netanyahu? The concern here is that the people on the Board of Peace want to destroy the state of Israel. They probably should not be on the Board of Peace. Qatar should not be on the Board of Peace, and Turkey and Russia should not be on the Board of Peace. And that is the concern. If you really want to, in good faith, create real peace in Gaza, you can't have enemies you have to have neutral people coming in that are trying to get these terrorists out of that area. But let's find out look, we have to find a host country. Right? The idea is to lure them to a host country, but no host country wants to take terrorists. A lot of grief, peace and dreams, hopes and fears, a deal. The lovers and final outcome magician, a deal will be struck. They are going to have to leave. So we have pretty much what the Oasis Protocol had called for. Oasis Protocol had called for them to be relocated, the terrorists to leave, which is also the will of the people of Gaza. They have less than 35% support right now, and the people of Gaza would like them to leave. And if you are to interview the clans of the indigenous, the people that are from that area, they'll say to you, we are peaceful people. We are peaceful people. We are not into this whole Hamas terrorism crazy stuff, right? So if you're looking just straight at what the data would show is Hamas host country is phase 2. So we're delayed. We're delaying our we're delaying what they're trying to finish up phase 2 so they can get the rebuild started, and they can't. No, people are afraid to come out of their houses and rebuild. They're being shot and killed by Hamas, right? So the deal will happen. You can see double magician, because everybody that's on the Board of Peace just wants these terrorists to go. They're all Iranian. It's an Iranian proxy army. All right. Well, Hezbollah make a deal and leave Lebanon. The only deal is they're bankrupted because we're cutting off their economic supply because Iran is finished. The IRGC is finished. But let's look at the future of Hezbollah, because I can't imagine they would survive without economic support. Well, this is colonization. That's what people don't realize, is that the Muslim extremists are colonizing the Middle East and driving the Christians and Jews out, right? So you don't have Christians anymore in Egypt and Lebanon or in Bethlehem, the West Bank. They've been driven. The Christians have lost their homes in the Middle East. There's no safe place for Christians except for Israel. That's the sad part. Can't go to Bethlehem anymore, right? So that's why they took Lebanon. They took Lebanon to fire on Israel, but also because it was a Christian country. They have to go. Yeah, Hezbollah is losing power. You can see the death card is in the seventh house, and then moving on to a host country again. Three of Wands would indicate going. Hopes and fears, their stockpiles, the treasure trove that ever overflows. So their stockpiles are being destroyed, and you can see a Four of Pentacles, which would be frugality or pulling back. Same with Hamas. Nobody's funding them anymore. The gravy train is finished, right? Well, Putin's Russia alliance states break up over Kazakhstan president's disapproval of the Ukraine war. Yes, you have this defense, Seven of Wands, which would indicate that that's exactly what's happening. They are peaceful people and they don't support the war, similar to what we saw by those clan leaders in Gaza, that they didn't support this, they didn't support Hamas, and that they just want peace, right? So people don't want to be pulled into an unnecessary war. And then final outcome here, fighting back and Chariot. So the other thing is they're concerned about Russia getting a hold of their finances and basically having their banking system and their economics being held hostage by Russia. That appears to be what's coming out as well. Russia should not have control of their banking system. That's very dangerous and puts them in a vulnerable position. Did come up. All right, who will take Putin's place after he's ousted? Somebody who can negotiate with the West, who is a good faith actor, right? They keep talking about wanting a good faith actor, and they haven't been able to find one in Putin. And we have the ethos here of the Hierophant, House of Opposition, Ace of Pentacles. So an incentive for economic deals or economic relief, Ace of Cups. If a deal is made with NATO to normalize relations, the economics would improve. So shaking the carrot in front of them. And also here again, the Knight of Cups, an emissary of peace. So they'll be given a trade deal. That's basically what the Abraham Accords said, right? If you look at the data that was coming out, that researchers, I was one of the researchers that was supplying data, basically said that once Putin is gone, then you can negotiate a trade deal through the Abraham Accords. But without Putin being gone, there was no such deal. But with the Knight of Pentacles moving in, I would say absolutely. All right, Joel Tilson, will NATO be forced to march on Moscow? Yeah, damn. Exactly, Joel. Thank you. What the hell? How badly did we not want it to get to this point? And yet they keep bombing Kyiv and killing innocent civilians. And it goes back to this concept: for every action, there's a reaction of equal or greater force. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And we're seeing grief. And the House of Queen of Pentacles and the House of Opposition, hopes and fears, questionable money deals, and final outcome, complete confusion. So, yeah, for all intents and purposes, they're going to take control over the economy or the finances surrounding Moscow. I think so, yeah. Will the Islamic State regime in Iran be ousted? Yeah, I think some of the laws and stuff will remain. They're not going to completely tear it down, but the IRGC is finished. Two of Cups moving into seventh position would indicate a peaceful relationship with the West is guaranteed because the people want it. The people want a relationship with the United States, Israel, and to be part of the Abraham Accords. And we see more fighting here, unfortunately. I'm seeing more fighting, but a peace treaty will be reached. The IRGC is coming to an end. But there are people within the IRGC and within the government that want peace. And we see that peace card moving into House of Opposition with a Six of Pentacles. They're going to be ironing out a new treaty. And then the final outcome here over the anger is Seven of Wands to defend one's territory. Leads me to think that they'll be driven out of Tehran into pockets or obscure areas because it is a pretty large swath of land. and they could be just drive them further into Afghanistan and into the mountains. That's probably what's going to happen now that we have other countries getting into the war. Will Trump resign after the midterms? You know, I'm a compassionate human being. I'm a physician, and I have compassion when I see somebody is sick and they're suffering. And I don't feel, when I am Donald Trump, as a medical intuitive and as a sensitive and empath, I can try to be the other person. That's part of how HCRV remote viewing works. And I don't feel like I have the physical strength to go on much longer. I'm feeling pretty exhausted. It's very difficult for me as Trump, when I put myself in the shoes of Trump, to not be physically exhausted. It's hard for me to stay away. I'm tired all the time. And people talk. I mean, like, I'm half listening. It's about my health, strength. So he has these strength issues coming in. House of Ace of Cups. They've tried to make it easy for him. They want him to be able to complete his term because a lot of deals are riding on it, and because they think it would be disruptive to the process, and because the Senate is up in smoke right now. They can't save the Senate. They've already lost 2 seats. So they're just stay home and rest. We don't want to bother you. Can we get him on camera functioning for 30 minutes, 45 minutes? He only has to work 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. In plain words, the window of his labor is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's a health issue. And then you have this Ace of Cups coming in, you know, helping him, assisting him. I think that many Democrats like myself, I'm a Democrat, would rather he stay in his debilitated state, where we can control this debilitated, unhealthy version of MAGA, as opposed to a healthy, virile J.D. Vance, which is going to help us in the long run. Let this old codger, you know, roll in for 45 minutes and snore while his cabinet drops dead because they're all old. I'm sorry, please forgive me, but they are getting older. They are passing. It's not that I wish it. I don't wish it. I don't wish any ill to anyone, but nature will take its course when the average age of your benefactors is 80. Well, I'm saying. So Ace of Pentacles, economic reasons, economic investments, his commitment to the PACs that he has dealings with. For all of those reasons, you know, I felt like he was finished. According to the Akashic records, they said he would be finished in 5 months, and that was when the Epstein files dropped. And so spiritually, in a way, he was done. And then everybody just started dying and resigning, and so it did kind of look like he was just slowly becoming this unbelievably weak person. Inflation being under control, probably we'll see a relief when the tariffs come to an end and we deal with the supply chain problem. That's the intellectual answer, but let's see what the cards say. All right, Queen of Swords moving in. Legal actions. I know we're having issues with the feds, and jobs stands in the House of Opposition. Employment, new jobs, and concerns about the jobs market. Jobs market report for July is not good. I can tell you that right now because I'm looking at it. However, the good news is we have new employment opportunities hitting in August. We can see the treasure trove moves in August. But July, because it fell in the House of Concern, in the House of Opposition, I don't think for that reason July had a good jobs market. The next 6 months job market is definitely improved with a 6 of Wands standing in the 7th house. AI proved to be helpful, but employees still had to be hired in order to control and monitor stuff. So people just got retrained. It's kind of like home computers supplied a bunch of jobs because now you have all these techies and geeks. So it's applied millions of jobs, right? Web designers and geeks and computer makers and traders and buyers and developers, right? So it doesn't contrary to, oh my God, it's gonna wipe out those jobs and create a whole new host, just like the home computer. Experts in AI, experts in this particular brand of AI, experts in this type of 3D AI, and this type of, so it just evolves into a whole new thing. I think 3D printing and AI designing 3D printing, those kinds of things. And so it's just a new job, a new cool way of doing stuff. But you have here the Six of Wands moving into seventh position. This is a month. Wand is interpreted as a month. So 6 months of success moving in with the Justice card, House of Opposition, confusion and dreaming over the issue of opposition, employment and work, hopes and fears, betrayal, backstabbing, instability in August. We have again, Queen of Wands makes her presence in the time of August. She fights the good fights, my way or the highway. I stand resolute. I stand for justice. With the Empress moving in, tells me it's going to be a hot and fiery August. Stay out of trouble, protect your plants, keep them nice and cool. Sometimes you have to put ice cubes at the roots of your pine trees, cover them with protective stuff so they don't dry out. There are things you can do, and just chant, do your mantras, but don't be in the middle of all of this, because I can tell you it's going to be a rough August. Just wild ride. They're clearing a lot of impurities, but it's not going to hurt you, because if you're a good person, just stay out of don't go looking for trouble, right? That's what they're saying. Just be a good person, be humble, and keep your head down, and you'll be fine. All right, I want to thank you all for hanging out for this Sunday brunch. Wow, a lot of great questions and a great conversation and a lot to think about. All right, we are out of here. If you need to see me for a private consult, I'd love to work with you. My name is Dr. Whimsy Anderson. I'm a medical intuitive and remote viewer, heart-centered remote viewer. And you can find the description of all of that stuff. You can just Google me, or in the description of this channel. Okay, we are out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.